Hello guys, my name is Martin Jones and I am here at the LSBF. My apologies, I was muted there earlier. I've just moved studio and and in the 3 minutes I completely forgot to press the unmute button and turn myself back to speaky. So now you can hear me perfectly well. I can say again what I said earlier, which is my name is Martin Jones and this is the London School of Business and Finance. And as you can see from the branding over my shoulder, we are doing LSBF TV. And on LSBF TV, we are looking at AAT. I'm moving now to level 3. I was just in the other studio earlier just doing level 2 and I'm moving now to level 3, and the particular paper that I'm going to address with you is called Advanced Bookkeeping, and I have a task behind this screen which I'm going to show to you now by going mini-me. Here I go, there it is, there is task number 3. And as I was sailing to the camera, but not to the microphone because it was muted, as I was saying to the camera, this exercise is related to the exercise that you studied with my colleague Reg. There's a very big opening task on AVBK, on advanced bookkeeping, in the specimen paper, the 2016 examination. And it involves the bit that I'm going to do called the SOCI and also a cash flow statement. That is a big requirement, isn't it? So you do a whole cash flow statement and a statement of changes in equity. What Reg did with you over 2 sessions, over 2 weeks, was she did the cash flow statement. And really what I'm doing is I am being her wingman. I am coming in and taking over and doing the SOCI. So the scenario that you see over my shoulder is in fact identical to the scenario related to the cash flow statement requirement, but that's not my requirement. My requirement is basically to answer this one question. Exactly right. So my requirement is to answer this one question, and I'm going to enjoy doing this. Now, I'm hoping that you can hear me and everything is clear. Well, I know you can because my producers are there being responsible for me, but it looks like I've got some people here joining me for this session live, and if that is true, then, oh, Wish, yes, indeed, Wish is here, wonderful. Can you give me a thumbs up, Wish, if you are, if everything is cool and you're enjoying life and you're prepared to learn from me? Here we go. Let's go for it, shall we? I'll hope for the thumbs up. But I think Wish is switching between studios actually, and that's why sometimes she is here with me and then sometimes she isn't. But hopefully she's here with me now. Let's have a look at this fella over my shoulder. This task is about ledger accounting for non-current assets. You are working on the accounting records of a business for the year ended 31st of March, and that can be ignored. A new vehicle has been acquired. It is estimated that it will be used for 4 years. The cost was 12,448. This was paid from the bank. The business plans to sell the vehicle after 4 years when its residual value is expected to be 4,000. Vehicles are depreciated on a straight line basis. A full year's depreciation is applied in the year of acquisition, or lots of stuff I can talk to you about. Depreciation has already been entered into the accounting records for existing vehicles. Calculate the depreciation charge for the year. That's my whole job. So as I was saying, I am sandwiched between a couple of Reg recordings. So Reg introduced advanced bookkeeping with you. She did a couple of sessions. I'm going to take you for the next 4 sessions, so today and 3 more weeks, and then Reg takes over and does the next 2 thereafter. So this is one of the requirements that is sandwiched between her requirements, and it is, as you can see, just one number divided by another, essentially. But nevertheless, it is Complicated enough for me to have plenty to talk about, is what I'm saying. It's complicated. Oh, there you go. There's the thumbs up from Wish. Thank you very much, Wish. I do appreciate that. It's wonderful to feel like I'm teaching you, Wish, rather than teaching the camera. I'm now in a new studio and the camera's really right in my face, which is good. It gives a good image, but it does feel a little bit intimidating. It feels like I'm teaching an unblinking eye, but now I can just imagine what you look like and I can teach you, Wish. So Wish, here we go. Should we just do it? And then we'll talk about it. How's that sound as a plan? Here we go. Now, in the examination, what you would do, I would suggest, is I think you probably would pick up a pen, pick up a scratch pad, write on it, use your calculator, and then populate the box. You populate the box in typing, actually, so maybe that's what I'll do. So I do have the option to write in this box here, but no, I'm going to be a good boy and I'm going to actually type in there exactly like you would do, Wish. But what I suggest you would probably do is do a little bit of writing before you populate this box. Now, how should I describe this? I'm going to do it like this, and I'm going to use this space just at the bottom of the page there. So I think you'll find it easiest if I go for this language. Depreciation Yeah, there we go. Depreciation is equal to the depreciable amount divided by the useful life, where the depreciable amount is I'll keep it really simple, cost minus the residual value divided by the useful life. That's the formula, and that formula, as exactly as stated there, is more than adequate for your AAT purposes. To be honest with you, it's more than adequate for most circumstances in real life. But if you do decide to go even more advanced in your financial reporting career and get into some senior position, when the bookkeeper comes to you with complexity, you might need to learn a little bit more complexity about that formula. That's for later studies. Let's stick with what we have here. So what we have here is 12448, 12448 minus the residual, which is 4,000, divided by the life, which is, just make sure I'm not being misreading this. Straight line base. Why am I not saying it now? 4 years, it's at the top. It's a strange place to put it, isn't it, at the top? A new vehicle has been acquired. It's estimated it will be used for 4 years. So we divide by 4 years. And I indeed do have a calculator in the form of my iPhone, which I will use now. 12448 minus 4,000 equals that, divided by 4 equals 2112. And you will be unsurprised to hear that I did this question earlier. So yes, that does sound familiar. That does sound right. So that's what I was going to do, wasn't I? I was going to be a good boy. Wish was in Studio 1 with me earlier on the level 2 bookkeeping question. And she, he, can you tell me, is it she, he? Wish, are you she, he? She was asking me about how we answer questions, how you answer questions on the computer-based examination environment. And there are basically 2 different ways of answering questions. in the accounting stream anyway. And the two different ways are typing and drawing drop downs down on a menu and picking the right one. There's basically just those two different ways of communicating. And the numbers are generally speaking typed and the words are generally selected from a drop down. This is a numbers thing, so you know, I type in the answer, you type in the answer like this. Just let me get a T for type. There we go. And in I go. So I go 2112, and there's, oh, sorry guys, I just pressed the active buttons there, but I got away with it because it's twos and ones. 2112, and there's no need for the comma. Was what I was going to say before I distracted myself. There's no need for the comma. You can put it in if you want to. The computer can cope with the comma, but there's no need for the comma. And there we go. It is really nice having you here, Wish. I hope you're still here. Can you give me some more reinforcement? Can you give me those flowers that you gave to me earlier? Those flowers were lovely. Wish gave me some virtual flowers on the chat. And if you're still there, Wish, can you give me some virtual flowers? I really fancy that. So, what was I going to say about the formula for depreciation? What I was going to say was talk about what it is that this number is doing. So there's all sorts of different ways of explaining what it is that depreciation is doing. But I'm just at the moment feeling like a graph will talk to you particularly well. All sorts of different ways of communicating, but I'm feeling like a graph would work particularly well. So what I'll do is I'll get myself an extra page off the bottom here. Now there's lines on this page and that might help me. So I'll draw myself a bucket. Do you know what? I might even use this function here. This clever function for drawing straight lines. Whoop, there we go. It's nice that, isn't it? There we go. And there we go. And these are the 4 years here. So there's a really nice way of counting out years, which is 0, oh gosh, wrong function, which is 0, 1, no, not got it right, let's get 2 in the middle. There we go, 0, 2, 4, 1, 3. And what we have here on this axis is what's called the carrying value. And just make sure I'm not off the screen now. Yeah, just about on the screen. And what we do is we start naturally enough with a, should we have some colour here? Blue, does that seem right? We start with a carrying value of 1, 2, 4, 4, 8. And what we want to do is we want the asset to exit with a carrying value of 4,000. It is a guess, of course, but this asset is unusual in that it has scrap value, and the cost of using this asset over 4 years is not the cost of the asset. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Shall I say that again? The cost of using this asset over 4 years is not the cost of the asset. The cost of using this asset over 4 years is complicated by the fact we're going to get something back at the end. And that's what this residual value accommodates. So the idea is, you see, that if it costs us 12,448 at the beginning, and then we get back 4,000, what this thing actually costs us is 8,448. There's even a fancy name for that. I'm not sure you really need this, but if you're in the mood, here's the fancy name for this difference. This difference is called depreciable amount. I'm wondering if I'm feeling keen. No, I was thinking of using the typing function there, but somehow decided a pen. Do you know what? It's a really long word to try and squeeze in, but I'm going to try. Depreciable. Amount. So that's between there and there. I'll tell you what, let's put the figure in. Depreciable amount is 8448. And that's the actual cost of using the asset over 4 years. Yeah, it's a nice way of saying it, isn't it? So the initial cost is 12,448, but we get back 4, therefore the actual cost over the 4 years is 8,448. And the name of the actual cost over 4 years is called the depreciable amount. And the depreciable amount is spread over the 4 years. And it is most common for assets to get used continuously and equally in each year. So for example, this camera that I'm looking at is being used today. It was used yesterday, it was used the day before. It doesn't get used at weekends, but it gets used every single day, equally, for hours and hours these cameras are on. So it gets used equally in every year that it's used, and then when it breaks, it gets thrown away. This one just gets thrown away. This is what is called straight line use. And when you have straight line use, you do straight line depreciation, which means you just, you take the depreciable amount and you just chuck it into the buckets of the years. So you've got year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. You just, if you just imagine, I don't know why I'm imagining this, but for some reason I'm imagining 4 hungry dogs of equal size. You've got 4 hungry dogs of equal size. You give them equal food, right? That's the way it goes. So there you go. That's the idea. So if that is the case, then we just take the 8,448 and divide it by the 4 years to get a charge of 2,112 per annum. But there's another way of double checking this, which is if we use 2,112 per annum for 4 years, what will it do to the asset over the period? What it'll do, doing it for your image, is it'll make it go down like that. And this is the straight line of straight line depreciation. The straight line of straight line depreciation is this line here. There we go, I'm just going to give us a straight line. Ooh, it's clever, that program, isn't it there? There we go, and there is the straight line. So what we do is we chop off 2,112, and then we're at this point. Now, we're at this point. Oh, sorry, no, wrong function. We chop off 2,112, and then we're at this point. I'm being very trepidatious with my arrow there. Should be a bit more bold. Oh, function still on. There we go. And then, here we go, same again. And then, same again. There we go. So we knock off 2,112, knock off 2,112, knock off 2,112, knock off 2,112, and then the asset sits at 4,000. And then it is a guess, that 4,000, but we sell the asset for roughly 4,000, and we don't get too much of a gain or a loss on disposal. Now great, there you go, there's a lovely question. How are we doing for time? Perfect question, perfect timing as well, wish. How would a trader know what residual value is? You don't know. So the trader doesn't know. So it is a requirement of the law, the International Accounting Standard relevant here on depreciation, called IAS 16. It is a requirement of the standard that you guess at the point that you buy the asset. But how would you get that guess? Well, if it's your first asset, or indeed your first year of trading, it's extremely difficult. But of course, many businesses are in the middle of their long lives as a going concern. And often the asset that you are buying now is to replace an outgoing asset. So does it actually say what kind of an asset this is in this question? So I can talk more broadly rather than talking about an asset. A new vehicle, oh, great, that's wonderful. So we have a vehicle, we can really picture it. It doesn't say whether it's a car, but I'm going to imagine it's a car. 12 grand, it sounds like a car, doesn't it? So the reason that we're buying this car for 12 grand is the old one's knackered. But the old one that's knackered is not going out at zero, it's got an exit value to it. And we can guess that this one will sell for the same as the outgoing one because it's roughly the same model. So How old is the outgoing vehicle? It's 4 years old. What did we just sell it for? Well, we sold it for 3,975. Okay, that's a bit fussy. 3,975. We sold the outgoing vehicle today for 3,975. That's around about 4 grand. What do you think we will sell the future vehicle for? Sorry, what do you think we'll sell the new vehicle for? I don't know, that sale is in the future. I don't know what we're going to sell it for. Well, if we just sold the very similar one today for 3,975, we're probably going to sell the new one in 4 years' time for 4 grand. You get the idea? And that when you have this kind of information, the quality of the residual value goes up. But it really doesn't matter whether you're forced to guess or you can be assured that you've got a reasonable figure. You still have to do it. It is a requirement that you guess the residual value. So another way of getting the residual value, of course, is to go on eBay. Everything's on eBay these days, isn't it? So say, for example, you buy today a Ford Focus. I don't even know if that's cars still. I don't know much about cars, but Ford Focus, you buy a brand new Ford Focus today. What you could do is you could go on eBay and type in 4-year-old Ford Focus and see what they're selling for on eBay. That would work. That would work. Now, of course, cars don't normally sell on eBay, but everything sells on eBay now. So eBay might be the way, or it might be on Auto Trader, or it might be somewhere else on a little Google search. So because of the availability of information on the internet, the quality of residual value should be quite high. But the classic way of getting the exit value, as it's called, getting the expected exit value of your new vehicle, is to get the exit value for the vehicle you just sold this morning. How are we doing for time? That's good. Any more questions, Wish? Any more questions? I am going to address the one thing that bothers me about this requirement. I'm keeping an eye on the chat just in case Wish gets a last minute wish. But I'd have to say this does bother me. It is very, very naughty, and I want to say it out loud, even though I'm going to give you some politics to deal with this. It is the policy is the expression that's often used. A full year's depreciation is applied in the year of acquisition. The classic, the one in full, the classic one is a full year's depreciation is applied in the year of acquisition and none in the year of disposal. This formula, this policy as it's described, is in fact in breach of the IFRS. You can't actually do that. You couldn't be quoted on the London Stock Exchange and say that out loud, because what you're saying is, I am not going to bother to follow the IFRS. The IFRS is much more simple. The IFRS says you use an asset, you depreciate it. So, for example, if you had a 4-year life that was 6 months of the first year and then 3 full years, and then 6 months of the last year, then you would charge depreciation in 5 years. You would charge 6 months in the first year, then you'd have a full year, and a full year, and you'd have a final 6 months in the year of disposal. If you know, most assets are like that, and the IFRS says that you should recognize the cost in accordance with use. And if you it gets really silly. You can see how silly this policy is. If you bought the asset on the very last day of a 365-day year, you should charge 1 day's depreciation, but according to this, you'd charge a full 365 days of depreciation. This policy is not in accordance with IFRS. I was trepidatious of saying this out loud, but I think it helps you if I say, look, this is the policy. This is what AAT frequently say, not always, but frequently say, when they say this is what you do it. But if you feel uncomfortable about it because you're looking at it thinking, why would I do that? Exactly. It is highly dubious whether this policy would be acceptable when bouncing up against auditors. It is likely you'd have a problem with your auditors if you actually tried to do that in real life. But hey, you're not in real life, you're in an exam, so do as you're told. It is often the year of purchase that is examined, so if it says a full year's depreciation is applied in the year of purchase, then you do as you're told. Fantastic. Okay, it's time for me to go big me and summarise and wish you all the best. Both you Wish and all you guys watching this as a recording. Let me go big me. Here I go. Hey guys, thank you very much for listening to me. My name is Martin Jones. I've just presented to you on AVBK, which is Advanced Bookkeeping. I wish you luck with your AAT studies, and I hope you can join us again for another live session. See you soon.